Okay, let's see. Oh, yes. I met a real nice girl named Maria. She works all night at the bakery. So tomorrow we're going on a date, lunch, and a movie. Aldo leaned back in his chair. She's a real nice girl. She's pretty. Did I tell you she works in a bakery? Aldo rose and paced back and forth in front of my cage. You know what I can't figure? I can't figure out how that ad got on the projector. Brisbane wouldn't show that to the class, and she wouldn't be interested in herself. And it was weird how the projector was left on. Brisbane always leaves her room in shipshape condition. He paused and rubbed his chin. Then he looked at me. You know, if you weren't locked in a cage, I'd think you had something to do with this. Then he laughed. Well, whoever it was, I owe them a big thank you. You're welcome, I squeaked. Too bad Aldo didn't understand me. So now we're going to start chapter 9. This chapter is called The Art of Self-Defense. Okay, I see a lot of you are all squiggly and moving around. You should look like Everly or Everett or Sophie. Ellie's settled in listening, aren't you, Ellie? Are you, Ellie? Okay. And everybody's here. Good. Okay. Are you guys ready to listen? If you're ready and your minds are ready and your ears are ready, give me a thumbs up. And you got your body still, right? Good. Good, good. Good. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Everett. Okay. Chapter 9, The Art of Self-Defense. Okay, I was having a great week, no doubt about it. Not only did I get a blue ribbon on Wednesday, but on Thursday, the class got a long letter from Miss Mack. She included a picture of her standing by a waterfall next to some very strange looking creatures. They looked like hairy pigs or raccoony dogs. I have no idea what that is. Who could guess what that is? I don't know. Who has a guess? Unmute yourself.
A parrot?
Maybe. Let's see.
A raccoon?
They are coatees. Coatees. These are coatees, Mrs. Brisbane said, reading from the letter pronounced coatees. The coatees looked weird. Miss Mack looked gorgeous, especially with all the red, yellow, and orange flowers all around her. How I wished I could be there with her, except maybe for the fact that those coatees might not be hamster friendly. They might eat hamsters, huh? At the end of the letter, Miss Mack wrote, so farewell to all my wonderful friends in room 26, especially the small one with the big heart, Humphrey. Sigh, sigh, sigh. Though the thought of Miss Mack made me happy, the weekend was coming up soon, and I always felt a little nervous about where I'd be spending it. You know, you guys, have you thought of that? He doesn't know what the house is like that he's going to go home to. That would be a little nerve-wracking, wouldn't it?
I hope he doesn't go with Gert.
Yeah. When it was decided on Thursday that I was going home with Miranda Golden, I was so excited. I got only 83% on my vocabulary test. Saya got 100%. I know, because this time when Mrs. Brisbane asked who got 100%, she raised her hand. I always figured that Miranda lived in a castle because she reminded me of a fairy tale princess in disguise. Wherever it was, it had to be wonderful if Miranda lived there. Well, Miranda's home wasn't exactly a castle, but it was very tall. Miranda lived in a fourth floor apartment with her mom and a big, huge dog, Clem. We had to take an elevator to get up there. The apartment was nice. The mom was nice. Clem was not nice.
iPad.
Clem was not nice. Let me explain. Miranda has a small bedroom and her mom let me stay there right on the desk. To welcome me, the two of them did a complete clean out of my cage. I'll bet nobody's done this for a while, said Miranda's mom, and she was right. Pretty soon I felt like a brand new hamster. Suddenly, Clem bounded into the room, a big mass of yellow fur poking his huge nose right up into my cage. His wet nostrils looked like two huge eyes staring at me, and he stuck out a giant tongue that came at me like a tidal wave. Luckily, the cage protected me. Mom, Miranda yelled, please get Clem out of here. Thank heavens, Mom took Clem out for a walk in the park while Miranda showed me her room. She held a picture of her friends and family up to the cage so I could see her dad, her stepmom, her grandparents in Florida. Next, she introduced me to her goldfish, Fanny. She wasn't much of a conversationalist. I squeaked, nice to meet you, Fanny. And you know what she said? Here's what she said. Blurb. I was thinking about how wonderful it would be to live with Miranda all the time when Clem returned from the park and galloped into the room. Clem, stay out, Miranda shouted, but Clem just wagged his tail and barked. Miranda closed the door so the dog had to stay outside, but we could still hear him whining and crying like a baby out in the hall. Still, just being with Miranda made everything seem golden until her mom called her to go shopping. Miranda protested. Good girl. But Mom didn't want to stay. Oh, I can't see now. There we go. When you guys get back to school, the lights will never go off. But Mom didn't want her to stay inside on such a nice day. She had no choice unless she was rude to her mom, which Miranda never would be. I won't be gone long, Miranda told me, and I'll make sure the door is shut tightly so Clem can't get in. Everything would be all right, I assured myself. After all, Miranda had said so. I was all set to get in a good daytime snooze. But, dun, dun, dun. As soon as the door to the apartment closed, Clem started whining outside the room. I could hear his big paws on the door trying to push it open. I was a little nervous, but Miranda had assured me I'd be all right. After all, she wouldn't be long. Then I heard it. The slight turning of the doorknob as Clem flung himself at the door repeatedly. Well, what a barbarian he was. Suddenly, the door swung open and Clem burst in and ran straight to my cage. I tried to distract him by spinning on my wheel. I can do that for hours if necessary. I thought the spinning would hypnotize him like an old movie I'd seen with Miss Mac. Miss Mac, where was she when I needed her? But apparently all the spinning just excited Clem more. He started barking at me, but I couldn't understand a word he said. Now cut that out, I squeaked at him. That just seemed to make him more hot and bothered. He plopped his front paws on the desk and stuck his nose into the cage near the lock that doesn't lock. Could this be a problem, you guys? Are you worried? I was worried.
Yeah, I'm super duper worried.
I mean, that dog, if he got a hold of Humphrey, that would be not good. It could really hurt him. Easy now. Calm down, I squeaked soothingly at the beast. But he just kept poking his nose at my cage, showing me his huge tongue and his huge teeth behind his tongue. Let me just say that Clem could stand some breath mints. That's really bad breath, too. Ugh.
No, I
He poked the lock again and again. I knew if he jiggled it enough, the door would swing open and I'd be history. Poor Miranda would never know what happened to me. She might even cry. I couldn't stand the thought of Miranda crying. I hopped back on my wheel and started spinning with all my might, hoping to buy some time.
I hate it.
Are you worried? Oh, gosh. Clem pulled back for a moment and stared at the wheel going round and round. Let me just say, I'm glad that Clem is about 2 quarts low in the brain department. Woo, I'm a good spinner. But I was getting worried about how much longer I could keep it up when Golden Miranda rushed in. She never looked more beautiful to me than at that moment. Clem, stop it, she shouted in a very firm voice. Bad boy! Clem raced to her side, wagging his tail. Miranda's mom dragged old Clem out of the room and closed the door behind her. Woo, woo, woo. Are you guys relieved?
Yeah.
Miranda was very sorry. She opened the cage and reached in to pick me up. Poor Humphrey, she said, hugging me. She set me on the desk and stroked me gently with one finger. I'm so sorry, Humphrey. I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't know what felt better, the petting or Miranda's soothing words. Miranda felt so terrible about what had happened that she let me play on top of her desk. She lined up all the books all together at the edges so I wouldn't fall off. Then she let me wander around and see the sights. A desktop is a very interesting place. In case you've never explored one, Miranda's desktop had a big cup with hearts all over it. The cup was filled with pencils. I have one of those. The cup was filled with pencils. Ah, pencils smell so sweet. She had a round silvery container of paper clips and a square purple container of rubber bands. She had lots of paper in a pink box. And she had a great big fat dictionary. I could really use one of those. I wonder if they make doll-sized dictionaries that you can hide it behind a hamster's mirror. Miranda giggles as she watched me check things out. And when I tried to climb into the paperclip box, she stopped me with her finger. No, Humphrey, no, that would hurt you. She did the same thing when I tried to roll the rubber band box. No, Humphrey, rubber bands can be very dangerous to you, she said. Well, I guess I knew that. Hadn't Garth shot a rubber band at AJ last week and almost got him sent to the principal morale's office? Hadn't AJ held his arm and said, ow, when the rubber band had hit him? Anyway, I really enjoyed my time on the desk until I heard Clem barking. Then I made a beeline for home. Oh, Humphrey, I won't let Clem hurt you, honest. Miranda assured me as gently as she helped me back into her cage. I believed her, I really did. But when it was bedtime and Miranda's mom came into the room to say goodnight, she said some words that sent a chill up my spine. Should I say the words? Are you guys ready?
No. Yes.
Don't forget, we're going to the Nicholson's house tomorrow night. Miranda protested. I hate to leave Humphrey. Clem gives him such a hard time. We'll lock the door this time, honey. He'll be okay, her mom said. And tonight, Clem will be in my room. After her mother left, Miranda assured me that Clem loves to sleep in mom's room. But if anything happens to you and you get scared, just give me a squeak, she told me. Don't worry, I will, I assured her. I didn't sleep that night. For one thing, the stars on Miranda's ceiling glowed in the dark, and they're so beautiful I couldn't take my eyes off of them. Does anybody have stars on their ceilings?
I have a dream catcher, but it's packed up.
Oh, Everly does. That's good. Riley does. That's so fun, isn't it?
I even have unicorn ones.
That's fun. Um, let's see. Oh, for another thing, well, I was nocturnal, so therefore I was up all night. But mainly, I didn't sleep because I was worried about Clem. After my experience that afternoon, I believed that no lock could hold him back. And how could a little hamster fight back? What weapon would I have against a big, hairy, bad breathed, small brained creature? What weapon indeed? I had an idea. Clem hadn't made a peep for hours, so I took a chance and quietly opened the lock that doesn't lock and dashed across the desktop to pick my weapon just in case of an encounter with Clem. Then I scampered back to the cage with it and quietly closed the door. I wonder what it is. I hid my weapon behind my mirror, next to the notebook where no one could find it. Then I managed to get 40 winks of sleep or so around sunrise. Miranda and her mom kept Clem out of sight all day, and it was time for them until it was time for them to go to the party. I'm still worried, said Miranda. I'm locking your door with the key on the outside, her mom said. I'm locking Clem in my room, and Humphrey's cage is closed tightly, right? Miranda checked it. Everybody always checks it. It always seems locked from the outside. It even makes the clicking sound. But from the inside, believe me, it's a piece of cake to open. Miranda seemed satisfied with the arrangement, but I wasn't. So I remained on high alert all afternoon and evening. And here's what happened. Okay, I'm going to stop.
No, don't.
Do you guys want to know what happened?
Yeah. Is it chapter 10?
No, the chapter's not over yet. I thought I would just torture you.
Ah, you tricked us.
I'm going to keep reading.
You tricked us.
I did. After Miranda and her mom left, Clem barked for a while. Then I heard jiggling and joggling for about an hour.
Oh my God.
I heard big hairy feet padding down the hall toward Miranda's door, towards my room. I sucked my breath and waited. Yes, I knew Miranda's mom had locked the door with a key, but Clem didn't seem to let little things like that stand in his way. The doorknob squeaked and rattled. It twisted and turned. Nothing happened, but that didn't seem to bother Clem the barbarian. He jiggled, rattled, and twisted it some more. When he got tired of that, he threw his whole body at the door. And then, very slowly, guess what? The
door opened.
Clint actually seemed surprised, but I wasn't. I had spent the last 2 hours carefully preparing for this moment. Not that my heart wasn't going thump, thump, thump. Look at those big words. Thump, thump, thump. Very loudly. Even Fanny the fifth seemed nervous. Clem trotted right up to my cage and he stuck his big nose up against it. Stay away. Keep your distance, I squeaked. I'm warning you. Clem wasn't discouraged one bit. Woof, he barked, sending a foul cloud of doggy breath my way. Oh, I didn't even flinch. He barked a few more times and then began poking his big nose against the cage. I wondered if he actually knew the lock was broken. This time, the time had arrived to put my plan into action. I was in grave danger and I had no choice. I would only have one chance at Clem because I only had one weapon. My weapon was
pencil.
What do you guys think?
A pencil.
No.
Rubber band and a paper clip.
A rubber band. You got part of it, Riley. My weapon was a rubber band. It had taken me a long time to get it hooked around the edge of my food dish. Now I carefully pulled it back as far as I could, aiming it directly at the doggy nostrils.
Ew.
You asked for it, beast, I squeaked. Then I let loose. The rubber band snapped and sailed through the air, hitting him squarely on the nose. He yelped like a baby and raced out of the room as if he'd seen a ghost. Too bad I still didn't have my ghost costume. That would be a nice touch. I guess Slim wasn't quite as dumb as I thought, because guess what? He never even tried to come back into the room again. Of course, Miranda and her mom were really puzzled when they came home and found both bedrooms unlocked and Clem cowering under the living room sofa. I don't get it, said Miranda. I don't get it. Sorry, said Miranda.
The other screen.
I don't get it, said Miranda. Humphrey looks like just fine. Maybe it was a burglar. Oh man, aren't they dumb about it? But Miranda's mom checked the closets and drawers and nothing was missing. Now that's a mystery, said Miranda's mother after she'd searched the whole apartment. Miranda stared at me, shaking her head. If only Humphrey could talk, she said. But I can if you just listen, I told her. I bet you'd have a lot to tell us, Miranda continued, not understanding my squeaks. Yes, I do, I thought. Enough to fill a book. Here's tip 9. Hamsters do not enjoy contact with other animals. A cat or dog may eat a hamster or at least do it bodily harm.
Or a bat. Probably.
Oh my
So
cat.
that's the end of
Might
that.
eat a hamster.
Yeah, that's the end of that.
No!